Hi, folks. Welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. Yeah, wokeism is destroying our society. And I know that term, I actually dislike that term. But that is the new term. You all know that it's liberalism, it's communism, it's Marxism, socialism, all the isms. But really, in the end, it's satanic, is what it is. It's destroying the fabric of traditions, biblical family values, is what it is. And I'll get into that here in just a second. I do want to mention that our local meeting is set for the January. It's the last Sunday in January. So if you have attended in the past, you don't want to miss this one. This is our big kickoff for the year. We've got a bunch of new exciting things planned. We will go over that at that meeting. So definitely want to encourage you. We're restructuring the actual, we'll still be in the same building that we've always been in, but we're dividing it so that the people that are at the sitting part of the building, and for those of you that's never come, I know you don't get this, but it's just a big open area. And we have, one end is where people sit and have a meeting, the guy that's speaking, girl, guy, whoever that's speaking. And the other end, we have like an open marketplace. And it gets a little noisy, so we're putting up room dividers and to kind of dampen the sound. We've got some exciting new things planned for the year that will benefit the people that come to the meeting and just the people around this area. So if you have ever been to one of our meetings, you certainly want to come back to this one. The last Sunday of January. Anyways, so to just a few things that's happened in the last several days that's just kind of given me the inspiration to talk about this, even though this is really something that you all know. There's a video floating around today over in Spain. There is an African immigrant, refugee, asylum seeker. I don't know, it doesn't even matter anymore. And it's hard to tell. There's not a lot of context to the video, but there's a local Spanish woman. He's grabbing her shirt. He's pulling on her. She's trying to get away from him. It ends up, you don't see her because she's around a corner. She goes around the corner and he's still trying to drag her shirt. And he ends up like ripping her shirt off. And there's a couple local Spanish guys, older guys, just sitting there watching it happen. The guy that's making the video doesn't do anything, but he does yell at him and says, "I'm going to call the police," in their native tongue. We've watched Europe just fall apart when it comes to immigration, when it comes to illegal immigration, the refugees. I saw a report out of Germany that there have been 7,000 reported rapes by immigrant refugee people in Germany over the last decade. We've seen the little island down there in Italy that's just been overwhelmed, had 7,000 population, and over 200,000 people from North Africa has shown up, or Central Africa has shown up in that little island and has migrated into Europe. The Border Patrol issued a number saying that there's been over 302,000 people cross the border in the month of December that they contacted. So this is just the southern border, and this is just the ones that they made contact with. It's not all the ones that kind of got away. 302,000 in 1 month. Set a record. Just at that average, we're looking at over 3.5 million people a year at the southern border that we know of. Also, just a few days ago, the United States Space Force, I said this yesterday, but they crowned a new lieutenant colonel. It's this guy that now dresses as a woman, and he's going around and on talk shows and stuff talking about how transgender people need to join the military because it doesn't matter what you look like or how you think. It's what matters is, if you're smart and all this kind of stuff. We're watching wokeism destroy our society. And we're watching it weaken us. That's the thing, weaken us. the amount of masculinity that has been diluted in this country due to chemicals, due to stuff that's in food and water and in medicine and in the air, due to the garbage that's put out on TV and especially the internet now. We've watched the really the backbone of a country, which is your young masculine males that are willing to go out and defend people and to build a better future. We're watching that become so diluted to where it's just about nothing anymore. Our population is in decline because of declining birth rates, but it's being replaced by people from third world countries coming across the border. And everyone's just sitting around and letting it. Watched another video this morning down on the border. I believe this was in the Arizona section of the border. On our side, there is basically tent cities forming of migrants, of these, illegals crossing the border. And there's all kinds of these far left American groups down there helping them, giving them aid and taking care of them. I've seen similar videos out of Europe where they come in off the boats on the southern coasts of Europe and they're handing them out cell phones and food and clothes and stuff. This is all done, of course, as a, sympathy for these people. And I have nothing against someone in another country, regardless of their skin color, their religion, or anything like that. But they don't have any business coming into a country illegally just to drain the system. Especially bringing disease and most certainly violence. There's been lots and lots of increased violence all over Europe and throughout cities in North America because of this. We're also watching our military strength decline. The military cannot get enough people to join. We're watching just the bedrock of family values and biblical values be destroyed in this country. And what's going to happen is, I suspect, all of this war, this Cold War, this hot war, this, dollar versus whatever BRICS nation, which is happening. I mean, we crossed the $33 trillion in debt this year, and now we're almost at $34 trillion in just a few months. And we're just spending and spending and spending more. The dollar is becoming less important. Iran and Russia have completely gone off the dollar, and many other countries are using the dollar less and less. And as things kind of spiral out of control over the next coming months and years, it'll become a less and less U.S. dollar that's being used, which is going to hurt you and I. The point is that in the grand scheme of things, this wokeism, this liberalism, this Marxism, this Satanism, it's all being perceived as weakness to a good portion of the rest of the world. And it's not that I think that Russia and Putin or China and Xi or any of them are the good guys, because that's not necessarily what I think at all. They definitely have not accepted this wokeism. In fact, they've passed laws not allowing certain parts of this wokeism kind of stuff in their country. And so regardless of whether you like them or not, or whether they're right or wrong, they still tend to hold true to the old traditions of strength and masculinity and family values. And that is going to be what causes, I believe, the real conflict. It's going to be a conflict of weakness versus strength. And as they see the weaknesses of the West, they will pounce on them. This is just nature, okay? Obviously, I spend a lot of time in nature, and I spend a lot of time around my own farm animals. And in nature, when something is weak, the rest will pounce on it. Not just the predators, but even the herd itself. We raise sheep and goats, and I've seen many times where one of them is weak, maybe it's become ill or injured, and the other sheep or the other goats will actually attack it. Because they see that it's weakened, and because that animal is weak, it's going to weaken the whole herd, and so they would just soon get rid of it as to potentially spread and weaken the whole herd. And then, of course, the predators see that, they smell it, they can sense it, and they will go after that weakness. That is what we are faced with. It's not just a failing dollar and a corrupt debt system and a administration that doesn't know what it's doing because it's old, frail, and half asleep. It's not just those things. It's that we have built a very weak society in just a few decades. And the rest of the world that does not aspire to this woke weakness sees it as a chance to take over, sees it as a chance to take out the competition. And I believe that's exactly what they're going to do. And while there may still yet be enough strength in the West to defeat it, I think that that's becoming more and more uncertain. And as the other side, whatever you want to call them at this point, as they see that there's a greater and greater chance of their victory over the weak West, they will take them and make a move on it. Look at what Russia is doing in Ukraine, and I think they're starting to figure out that NATO just doesn't have what it needs. Germany is starting a general mobilization for its military, and also this past week it came out that if Germany had to go on a full-scale war against Russia, they have about 2 days worth of munitions to fight. 2 days. 2 days worth of munitions to defend against an attack from Russia. It's already being rumored that NATO is basically going to, write off Poland as basically being destroyed in the initial battles of Russia moving across Europe, if it happens, and that they will make their defense and allow Poland to be kind of the pawn, the fall guy, and build their defenses behind Poland. This is a horrible strategy. It's a horrible strategy because the rest of the world sees it as weak. The rest of the world is seeing us as weak. There was once upon a time, good or bad, when the United States shook its sabers, the rest of the world paid attention because they knew that they were capable of following through with their saber rattling. Now it's not so much the case. Many other nations are starting to see the weakness of the United States. Even little small countries like Yemen are actually trying to square off against the United States. North Korea is becoming more vocal. Iran, of course, is becoming more vocal. It's all over, and it's because we have become very weak. That will be the destruction of us. We're weak mentally. We're weak physically. The amount of physical weakness in this nation. I mean, they can't even recruit enough troops because so many people aren't even physically qualified to be in the military. I mean, can you just wrap your head around that one for a second? That there's so many people in this country that are so obese, overweight, and out of shape that they can't even join the military in basic training, and their standards just to get into basic aren't the highest in the world. Maybe they are, but they're not. It's not ridiculous. And even at that, there's so many people that can't even make that standard. We are weak as a nation. We've sat around and we've allowed it to happen, unfortunately. And now I think we're going to have to pay the piper. And that means that we just need to get ready for it and get prepared. I don't know that there's a whole lot that you and I can do to stop all of this global stuff that's happening, but we can certainly prepare a defense against it in our families and our local areas. And that's really where you need to be focusing yourself over the next coming days and months. Starting to work on your plan, go over it, revisit it, and strengthen those plans and do the things you need to do accordingly, whether it's stocking up on gear, food, training more, developing new skills, whatever it is, because I think these days are upon us. And it's going to be a pretty scary and dark time when they finally hit, because it's most likely not going to be wars like we've seen in the past. It's really, truly going to be a big global one, because there is a fight right now to rule it. Even Joe Biden the other day said that there is a new world order coming, a new world order. There's going to be a new liberal world order, and that there's going to be a changing of the world order. Well, the world order has been the United States in charge for almost a century. So if there's a new world order, does that mean that the United States will no longer be at the top of that? That's something to think about when he talks about this new world order that's going to happen. There's going to be this new leader in the world order. Well, the leader in the world order has been the United States. So what is he talking about that's going to change? There are a lot of changes coming, and we have to get prepared for that. And we have to recognize what's happening and not just, push it off as nothing, because it's not been nothing for years now. Folks, it's time to get your houses in order and to prepare yourselves mentally, physically, and spiritually. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.